They don't hate me because I'm beautiful. They hate me because they look basic at their engagement party. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Raphael and I am here to review episode 7 of The Real Housewives being told to stop fighting by the producer of Dubai. We start the episode off with Ayan and her son Taj heading into the store for her fitting because she's going to be a part of the UAE's 50th anniversary show. So she has to try on this long gown that covers up her entire body with a bunch of gold chains. So her son Taj is looking at her and he's like, wow mom, I really like when you look classy like this. I like when you wear classy clothes. So Ayan is like, yeah, I mean, I look nice now, you know, because I'm fully covered up, but I still like my short skirts. I still like my whore clothes. And I'm like, same. So then we also get a little backstory of the rules of Dubai, or what used to be the rules of Dubai, because she goes on to say that when she first got to Dubai, she went to the mall, I believe, she was shopping around and she had this really short skirt on. And all of a sudden, the police came over to her and they gave her a ticket for that because it wasn't allowed. You weren't allowed to, you know, be so exposed like that. And I'm like, wow, imagine one day you're just going to the mall, you're just shopping around like, la, 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 I'm shopping around. And all of a sudden the police comes over like, excuse me, ma'am, you can't look like a hoe in public. I'll be so offended. But she goes on to say that Dubai has evolved. You know, they continue saying that every single episode to the point where I'm like, are they really evolving, or are y'all just trying to convince us that Dubai has changed or whatever? So Ayan continues trying on clothes in the fitting room, and all of a sudden you hear her singing and she's like, la 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 la, I love myself. I'm telling you, this is just Ayan's world and we're just living in it. So then next thing you know, her son, he decides to try on things, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cute. So he's modeling for her. He's walking back and forth. And Ayan is like, you know, I'm not a regular mom. I'm a cool mom. I let my son express himself the way he wants to, like whatever he wants to do, I'm here in support. And I actually told him to go into modeling because he actually has my face. So why not? And I'm like, of course, that's your reason. I bet you that she's not going to get mad if her son eats with his fingers and his hands. But she goes on to say that she won't be able to attend Caroline Strawberry and Sergio's wedding. And I'm like, oh, come on, Ayan. Like, I'm assuming that this is going to be the big finale or the big event this season, and she's not even going to be in attendance. This is another red flag on why Sergio and Caroline shouldn't get married. Because Ayan won't be in attendance. If anything, Caroline and Sergio, they should push their wedding back a little bit more to let Ayan attend it properly, because there is no wedding without Ayan, even though she's not the one getting married. But she does say that she's going to their engagement party. And for that, you have to actually wear all white, including your shoes. We even see it in the flashback where Strawberry tells Ayan, you have to wear white, including your shoes. But there's no other rule attached to that, right? Because later on, it becomes a whole different issue. So Ayan, she's looking at something behind her and she's like, oh, maybe I should wear this white outfit for Strawberry's party. You know, not thinking anything of it or that it's going to become a big deal later on. Or so we thought. Then we get Caroline Strawberry and Samantha waiting at this restaurant for both their parents to arrive to finally meet for the very first time. And, you know, honestly, I'm tired. I'm tired of giving them so many red flags to the point where I ran out of red flags. I'm going to have to go online and order some new red flags to give them, because it's been every single week since the very first episode, giving them red flag after red flag after red flag to the point where I ran out. I don't have any more. And honestly, I'm exhausted because both of them, both their parents are meeting for the very first time right before the wedding. And, you know, I've never been married, nor have I been married, nor am I married, but I'm pretty sure, I don't think that it works like that. I know that everybody's relationship is different, but I'm pretty sure your parents are supposed to meet at some point prior to you getting married, right? Or am I wrong? I'm not sure. Maybe everybody handles it differently, but I'm like, oh, okay, this is concerning. But they're both sitting there and you could tell that they're both very uncomfortable. They're like, oh, how is this gonna, you know, turn out? Because my parents, Caroline Strawberry's parents, they're, you know, very cold, they're emotionless, but his parents are more bubbly and energetic. So then her parents arrive, and already the mom, 2 seconds in, already saying something offensive. And she's like, so Sergio, do your parents speak English? And I'm like, wait a minute. So that's how we're starting off, lady? Like, huh, what's that supposed to mean? I mean, And Sergio, you could tell that it kind of threw him off a little bit. He's like, yeah, they speak English, and he's better than me, because I would have told her, like, lady, sit your ass down and be quiet before you say some more offensive shit coming out of your mouth. Like, stop, before I walk out of here with my parents. So then his parents arrive, and again, the whole awkward tension, it just continues intensifying, and I'm uncomfortable, they're uncomfortable, everybody's uncomfortable, the production is uncomfortable, Andy's uncomfortable, everybody's uncomfortable. Right? And I'm like, okay, can we just end this scene already? And, you know, you could tell that they're very awkward because they start laughing at nothing, because Caroline Strawberry is just like, how are you? How are you doing? Yeah. Oh, no. Sergio, oh my God, the sky is blue. Yeah, so can we order some tea? It's so funny. And I'm like, what's so funny here? Can we stop the awkward laughing? The parents are getting to know each other and the conversation is flowing naturally. But of course, Caroline Strawberry's mom, she has to say something offensive to Sergio's parents. And she's like, wow, both your English is pretty well. And I'm like, come on now, like how many strikes have I given this whole relationship between Sergio and Caroline so far? And it's only episode 7. Let me count it all up so far. Let's see. You add it all up here, divide it by 4, then you multiply 6, subtract 2, then you add the circumference, and then you add pi. Hold on, and then you divide 2, multiply it by 3, and then you get, it's like 200 strikes already. And this isn't even between Caroline or Sergio. This is their parents, specifically the mom. I just don't like that whole holier than thou attitude. Like, oh, you don't speak proper English? Oh, you're not allowed to be around me, or I can't really have a proper conversation with you. Because sometimes when you speak Spanish or in the Latin community, because I experienced it, oh, you know, people always want to look down on you just because your English may not be, it may be off a little bit. And then all of a sudden people want to look at you like, oh, are you dumb? Or like, can you not really understand? Can you not really talk properly? And both of the parents are just pretending like, huh, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand what you're saying. Can you say that again? Like, stop pretending that you're stupid. They're probably not even pretending at this point if these words could come out of their mouth so freely, because Sergio's parents, his dad specifically, he's saying something about Vegas, and then Strawberry's dad, he's like, vague what? And I'm like, please stop pretending like you don't understand what the man is saying. Yeah, it may not be perfect. His English may not be perfect, but you understand what he's saying. I believe the conversation about Sergio's dad paying him off to leave Caroline Strawberry gets brought up. And honestly, Strawberry should have pressed his dad a little bit more, like, excuse me, sir, I want a proper answer. Why did you want him to leave me? I want to know. And my parents are here too. They want to know too. But no, they kind of just joked around with it. Sergio's dad, he kind of got off the hook with it. And he's just like, oh, well, you know, I was just joking. You know, I wanted to pay off his student loans. That was it. I was just playing. As long as he's happy, I'm happy. And I'm like, oh, of course, that's your excuse now. But what happened just last week when we found out that your wife was crying 4 times because they were both together? What was that about? Was she also happy or was she not? What's that about? But okay. And then Caroline Strawberry, of course, she's making a joke out of it. And she's like, oh, well, you know, maybe the offer will be still good if, like, you know, when he moves on to his second wife, who's probably going to be much younger than me. You know, she threw that out there because you know she was serious. You know, as soon as they stopped filming that scene, she went back home and she started planning her escape. We head over to Lisa's house where she's in the backyard with her 3 sons and Miss Goat, and come to find out that she is no longer kicking Miss Goat out the house anymore. She is here to stay. Why? Because her children are going to be emotionally devastated if she leaves, so why not have her stick around for a little longer? And honestly, I like seeing Miss Goat walking around all over the place randomly, just saying nay every 5 seconds. And honestly, you could give Caroline Strawberry's gold coins to Miss Goat. I'm pretty sure that she'll make some use of it for next season. So then Caroline Brooks, she calls Lisa, and Lisa's like, oh, hey, how are you? How's everything? I know you just had dinner with Sarah and your best friends last night. How was that? So Caroline Brooks is just like, it was a mess. It was a terrible mess. We almost got into it. It was horrible. I had to tell everybody to shut the fuck up, and I kicked them all out of my house. It was horrible. And on top of that, Sarah, she told me that I have to be a little bit more emotionally attached to my son. So Lisa, she was shocked about it. She was like, what? We as mothers, we do not get to, like, people are not allowed to say that to us. Like, what is wrong with her? Like, she really said that? So Brooks, she went on and on and on about the whole situation. But come to find out, because last week I skimmed through her Twitter after the episode to see her opinions on the show. There was a bunch more behind the scenes stuff that played out to get that type of reaction that Brooks had at the dinner table, because she went on to tweet saying that Brian, her best friend, he showed up to that house that night trying to cause a moment and trying to make a scene because he thought that that's what you have to do on reality TV. He went in trying to push her buttons on purpose to try to get a reaction, and look, he got the reaction that he wanted, and that's why he was probably like, oh, I feel like your son should be around a woman like Sarah. Maybe he'll learn something from her. Maybe he should be around her. He was doing all of that on purpose to push her buttons the entire night. And that's what happened. And then she was kind of caught off guard because she's like, well, wait a minute. We have been best friends for a long time, and he has never spoken to me or about my son like that at all. So why start now in front of all these cameras? So Brooks, she was caught off guard. She felt attacked by him coming at her like that. And then Sarah questioning her parent skills. Yeah, of course she'll be upset. Any parent will be upset. Just like I said in my review last week. Does it make it right though, her reaction? I'm not sure, because I mean, she was a little bit too much with Brian. But I mean, if you're caught off guard like that with your friend coming at you like that, what else do you expect? You know, if anything, I feel like she should have really delivered that to Sarah, because I feel like Sarah's the one who kind of crossed, you know, a certain boundary with Brooks. I mean, yeah, what she was saying was kind of truthful in a way. But then again, who are you to tell me that as a mom to mom? If I was to criticize your mom skills, you probably wouldn't like that either. You'll probably be bothered if I told you maybe you should be a little bit more emotionally attached to your child. But who knows how Sarah would have took that. that. So that's why Brooks went off the way she did at the dinner table. Again, does it make it right? No, because if I was her best friend, absolutely not. You are still not speaking to me that way. Even if I am trying to produce a scene. And I believe the next day he called her. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, you know, I thought that that's what we had to do on this show. I thought that that's what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to fight and cause a scene. But she was like, no, this is not that type of show. Yes, it is that type of show. And she told him that this is a much more organic show, that you just have to come on and be real. You can't come on trying to be like Kyle Richards or Garcelle and produce a scene, you know? I mean, you can, but, you know, you're not supposed to. And he was just like, oh, okay, you know, and he apologized. And that was that. And then she also went on to say that her son, he was uncomfortable in this entire scene because he had never met him or Sarah. So he was kind of like all caught off with all the cameras in his face. This is the first time, I believe, that the cameras were in his face for that long. And he was kind of awkward. So that's why there was kind of like that awkward tension. And then she also went on to tell Lisa, you know, I'm not trusting anything that Sarah's saying. Yeah, she may be a doctor, but a doctor of what? She got her degree from what? A women's empowerment group? And I'm like, wait a minute, can I get the link to the woman empowerment group? I kind of want to be a doctor too, if I could get it quickly. She also went on to say that Sarah attacked her culture and that she grew up in a Caribbean/Afro-Latina culture. And this is where me and Brooks relate, because when I found out that she was also half Honduran, I was so excited prior to the show starting because I'm also half Honduran. And I'm like, finally, like a Honduran housewife, because we never had a Honduran housewives in any of the cities. So when I found that out about her, I was very excited. So she went on to say, yeah, in my culture, you know, you just don't disrespect my culture like that. Like, I grew up this way, so I'm going to teach my child to be this way. But I mean, even with that, Brooks, you can't use the cultural excuse for anything, because yeah, you may follow a certain culture and yeah, you may follow X, Y, and Z, but that doesn't mean that you have to do X, Y, and Z forever. Yeah, you may do that at some point in the past, but moving forward, you know, things evolve. Just like how everybody on this show says that Dubai is evolving over time, that's what happens with cultures as well sometimes as well. They evolve over time and they're not meant to always stay in the same place or in the same rules. Just because you had to follow certain rules back in the day or years ago at a certain period of time does not mean that you're also going to follow it 5 years from now or next week or in 2 days from now. That doesn't mean that. So that's also a sorry excuse. I just always feel like Brooks, she just felt hurt and she felt, you know, kind of like bothered by what Sarah was telling her, because there is some truth to that. So then Lisa's like, so wait, so what are you going to do? Are you going to confront her? Are you going to talk to her about it? And then Brooks is just like, yeah, I'm going to talk to her at Caroline Strawberry's engagement party. Then we head over to Nina's place and then she decides to call up Sarah. But I feel like this was a whole setup just for her to stunt on everybody. Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna show them that I live on the very high rise of this building and I'm gonna show them my lovely background so I can stunt on these bitches. She took the phone call outside and she made sure to have her back against all the tall, beautiful skyscrapers and lights behind her. And she's like, hey Sarah, hey, make sure that you guys are getting all the views, all right? And make sure that get all the cameras behind me. Yeah, hey Sarah, how are you? I'm like, oh, please, Nina, we get it. You have money. You could afford a really nice place in this beautiful building. We get it. It's a nice background. But I'm like, wow, very impressive though, because it was a really nice scenery. So she went on to talk to Sarah and she's like, Sarah, how are you? How's everything? I mean, Caroline Brooks, she called me and she was really upset about this whole dinner that happened between you and her best friends. What happened? What's going on? Sarah goes on to say, she wasn't mad at me. She was mad at her best friend because her best friend, he was like trying to make fun of her parenting skills or whatever. She was thinking that I was criticizing her parenting skill and I would never do that as a mom. And I'm like, you weren't criticizing, but you were also trying to, you know, give your 2 cents in when nobody really asked for it. Even though Brooks, she did mistakenly said, yeah, let me hear what you have to say. And then she gave you the permission for you to say whatever you wanted. So, I mean, again, this whole situation is just very sticky. At the end of the day, I still think that there is some truth to what Sarah said. So Sarah's like, yeah, I would never say that. So I'm not really sure what she's talking about. I would never ever criticize her as a mom. So Nina goes on to say, really? Well, she was really upset about it. Maybe we could all talk about it at the engagement party when we all reunite together. But I don't know. She was really upset about it. And that was that. Then we see Caroline Strawberry getting all glammed up for her engagement party. Sarah Hill, he's running around all in the background like a wild child trying to get camera time. And then all of a sudden she gets a text message and she's like, oh, it's Sarah. She just sent the text message to the group chat. Sarah, she goes on to say, Caroline Brooks, I'm not sure what your problem is or why you're spreading a bunch of bullshit to the group. And I'm like, wait a minute. You know, because as of now, Sarah has been all about peace and unity and, you know, just being a good person in life. And now all of a sudden she's cursing? What is going on here? But she goes on to say, Caroline Brooks, you told me that your mom has taught you, she has raised you in like this military way, and she was so strict with you, and she never really showed you love. And she said that you told me that you don't want to be like that with your son. And I just told you that all you have to do is just break these cycles in your family. And now all of a sudden you're saying that I'm a bad person. What is going on? So then Strawberry, she's just like, wow, I mean, you know, this never ends well at all, because if you're trying to tell somebody how to be a better parent to somebody or to their child, it never ends well. So bless her heart. So then Sergio, he's hovering over her and he's like, wait, mommy. I want to see the text message. I want to see the text message. What did she say? What did she say? I want to see. And Strawberry's just like, enough. Like, Sergio, can you please stop? Like, just back up a little bit. Go over there. Stop. I just took out some toys right now. What is going on? Like, you don't want to play with the toys? Go over there. Leave me alone. I'm texting right now. Gosh. Like, she was so annoyed. And then he's like in the background trying to fix his hair. And honestly, it was just all a BS excuse from Sergio to just walk around in the room topless in his towel to show off his body. That's all he wanted. That's all you wanted, Sergio. If you wanted a camera time, just say that. So then Caroline Strawberry, she goes on to say, well, you know, if I'm going to have another engagement party, I'm going to wear all the fine jewelry, all the expensive jewelry, all these $1 million diamonds. And then somebody brings in a choker and she puts it on. And the choker, it's $700,000. And I'm like, well, I mean, you could have got the same thing from Forever 21, Caroline Strawberry, if I'm being honest with you. Like, nothing about it really screams $700,000, but okay. And speaking on Forever 21, I'm over here waiting like, okay, let's see what she's gonna wear to her engagement party, because she knows how to dress. I liked her outfits this season. Let's see what she wears. Next thing you know, I see her stylist walking in with a pair of cowgirl boots. And I get it that their engagement party is going to be out in the desert and they're all going to be stepping on sand, but come on now, at least wear some Crocs or some Gucci flip-flops, some sandals, something nice. But you decide to wear cowgirl boots? You looked a hot mess, Caroline Strawberry. And I was just looking around in the room. I'm like, wait a minute, is Giselle from Potomac here? Because she must be responsible for this outfit. I mean, the whole outfit said that we were going to go to 2 different events. I wasn't sure if we were going to go to a farm and milk some cows or go to a ballerina recital. But at the end of the day, it's her engagement party and she could wear whatever she wants, I guess. We're finally getting to Caroline Strawberry and Sergio's engagement party. That's in the middle of the desert, right? It's 60 miles away from Dubai. It's in this place called Nara. And the temperature outside is 102 degrees. Absolutely not. I would have had a whole attitude. Me and the heat just do not mix because I sweat so easily. Even as I'm filming this, I'm like tempted to just drip. So, I don't know. I would have just showed up in a white bikini and called it a day because everybody was just all covered up. And I'm like, are we not seeing the temperature outside? Is the sun not blazing? I mean, I'm not understanding, but they're all showing up one by one. I believe Nina, she was on the way with her husband in the car and she was crying about her father because he's still in the hospital. Sarah, she's the first one to arrive. Her outfit, I mean, it was a regular outfit. She was fully covered up. And I'm like, okay, I guess she doesn't care about the heat either. She shows up and I believe Lisa Milan, she shows up with Chanel Ayan and her husband. Both of them, they look good. Lisa, she kind of sneaked it in there. She's like, oh, wait, Chris, you need to be in the middle so you could pretend that you have 2 wives. And I'm like, Lisa, what are you trying to do here? Like, there must be some truth to that, but okay. And where is Rich? Where is our husband, Lisa? What are you doing? Did you run him away? Like, what's going on? Where is he? Why is he not on the screen? We haven't seen him in like 2 episodes. What's the problem? Where is he? They all get there. They're all sitting down. There's a bunch of camels all over the place. It's a cute little setup, right? It's in the middle of nowhere. So I believe Caroline Strawberry and her family and her entire entourage, they all arrive with Sergio. She's showing up in her cowgirl boots. And I'm just like, Caroline, you really wore cowgirl boots. Like, I'm looking at the outfit and I'm just like, it just doesn't make sense. The choker doesn't look right on the outfit. The dress looks cheap. The cowgirl boots, absolutely not. Sergio, he looks fine, but I mean, come on now. Like, you wore better outfits in your confessionals. And speaking of confessionals, because she was talking in her confessional, we hear her talking, right? And she's like, oh, you know, my friend Stephanie, she designed this place at Nara, you know, the location that is taking place at, and she wanted us to be the very first wedding that she designs for. And all of a sudden, we pan over to the confessional, and she's sitting on Sergio's lap. When I tell y'all, it caught me off guard so badly. I was dying of laughter. I'm like, what the hell is she doing? Sitting on this man's lap in the confessional, and he's just sitting there like... I'm like, he must really, really, really want to be on the show. Like, he must really want to be a housewife. At this point, let's take a poll. Who do you think is the thirstiest housewife out of all the husbands? I'll name 3. Josephine, aka Joe, from the Housewives of New Jersey. You know, him, Patricia, aka Peter Centerpeach Thomas, or Sergio, aka Stephanie. Who do you think is the thirstiest to be a housewife on the show out of those 3? Comment below. as they're getting out the car, they're looking at Chanel Ayan, and they're like, wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. She has on a wedding dress, and she has on a veil. I can't pronounce it right. The thing that you put on your head, like the bride. And she's like, wait, is that on top of her head? And I'm like, and then they pan over to her, and it's just her blonde hair. And I'm like, there is no veil. There is no wedding dress. I'm not sure what they're talking about, unless the style of wedding dresses in Dubai is different. I'm not sure where she saw wedding dresses. I mean, even if you just squint your eyes a little bit, you still can't really see a wedding dress. She has on like this bodysuit with a cape attached to it. So I'm not sure where she saw a wedding dress, and they got closer, and Caroline Strawberry, she's getting upset, and she's like, wow, you're the rudest guest ever. I can't believe this. What, you're trying to look like me? And I'm like, no, Caroline Strawberry, no, nobody's trying to look like you and those cowboy boots. Nobody's trying to look like that or trying to impersonate that. I promise you that. So then she and Sergio, they both have an attitude. Sergio's just like, you know, I would never ruin her day. Why is she trying to ruin my day? Notice how he said my day instead of saying our day. So they're walking away. They're upset. Chanel Ayan, she was quick with it because she, in her confessional, she was like, first of all, I'm a gorgeous black woman, so I'm not sure. Me and her do not look alike. You know, I wear couture. She wears shine. Or Sheen, or whatever way you pronounce the online store, you know, like the cheap store or whatever. And I'm like, wow, Chanel Ayan. And then the shady producers and editors, they pan over to Caroline Strawberry, and at the bottom of the screen, they put $12,000 dress. And I'm like, $12,000 dress for that? I mean, you could have found that at Claire's, but okay, I mean, you were just upset because you look terrible and Ayan looked way better than you at your own engagement party. What, so you thought that she was just gonna be basic? You know she wears, you know every time she steps on in front of the cameras or anywhere she goes out, you know she's always gonna dress 10 out of 10, so why would you expect anything less? Caroline Brooks shows up to the desert, and she is accompanied by her best friend, the one that she just cursed out last week on last week's episode, and I'm like, okay, here we go. So she shows up and she's like, wow, it's so nice here. Wow, it's so much sand, it's really nice. Okay, so anyway, let's fight. She goes over. She's looking for Nina. Her eyes are on Nina and Sarah, but mostly Nina. And she's like, where is she? Where is she? Where is the bitch? And I'm like, well, damn. She gets right into it. So she finds Nina. She's like, Nina, how are you? How's your drink? Can we talk for a second? Let's talk. Let's talk. So they sit down and talk. And she's like, so Nina, what the fuck is the problem? I'm like, wait a minute, you know, can we at least get through the fake conversations, oh, how are you doing? How's your family? Can we get through that first? Meanwhile, on the other side, we see Lisa, Sarah, and Ayan. Ayan is asking Sarah, so Sarah, what happened between you and Brooks? What's going on with that? So then she fills them in on the whole situation, and they're like, well, we could see Brooks' side of the whole story because, you know, we're all moms here, and we don't want to be criticized like that. Like, who are you to tell somebody else, like, oh, you know, you should be affectionate with your kid? Of course no mom wants to hear that. And yes, I'm on their side as well. I think I'm on everybody's side here because I feel like everybody makes a point. You know, everybody has their own side of the story. And Sarah, you know, she's partly delusional as well. And Sarah better hope that her perfect image never really crumbles on this show, because once it does, and we start seeing through the cracks, then you're going to have like 20 fingers pointing at you like, oh, wait a minute. So you're not as perfect as you say you are, because here she thinks that she's, you know, better than everybody, or at least in her head, you should be like her, according to her last week. And she goes on to say, well, I'm not criticizing her as a mom. She told me, you know, that I could give my opinions, and that's all I did. And that's what makes this whole situation sticky, that, yeah, they were having an open conversation, and Brooks, she invited her into it. She was like, yeah, no, you don't know my kid, but go ahead, tell me what you have to say. If you had a problem, you should have just said, no, you know, don't talk about me and my kid, let's talk about something else. But you allowed the conversation to go on. So, I mean, again, it's just kind of like two fingers pointing at each other, and who's right in this situation, I'm still not sure. So then, meanwhile, we head over to Brooks and Nina. Brooks is questioning Nina and asking her, why would you tell Sarah anything about what me and you talked about on the phone with? Why would you tell her anything I told you from the night of the dinner with her and my best friends? I trusted you, Nina. Why would you do that? Now you have her coming at me in a group chat, and she's coming at me trying to defend her behavior. Obviously, she's doing that because you told her something. So what did you do, and why did you do it? Nina, she's caught off guard, and she's like, joggers, a spring, summer, December. I don't know. I was just trying to help the whole situation. I think you're just blowing the whole thing out of proportion, Brooks, honestly. Brooks, she's getting more and more intense with the whole situation. She's getting upset because Nina, she's just, you know, pretending to be confused about it. So Brooks and her eyeballs, they're popping out her eye socket, and she's like, look, look, Nina, the situation between me and you is just, I trusted you and now you betrayed me and I just don't like that. I don't like that, Nina. And I'm like, okay, now Brooks, relax the hands now because the hands are way too close to her face and they're way too close to each other. And it gets more intense with her and Sarah later on. But Nina, she's just like, you know what, Brooks, I just feel like I'm not going to go through this whole situation right now because I'm going through a lot with my dad and COVID. So then Brooks is just like, so what? So what? So Nina, that's what her last straw. She's like, oh no, I'm not doing this. I'm walking away. And I mean, I want to say that Brooks did not mean it as like, oh, you know, I don't care if your dad has COVID. I don't think she meant it that way. I think she meant, if you are so concerned about your dad and his health, why are you trying to be messy and tell Sarah everything I told you? Well, if you have so much time on your hand, you should be worried about your dad, not about something that happened between me and her. You should mind your business. I will hope that that's what she meant, but I'm not sure. Nina goes over to join Ayan, Lisa, and Sarah, and they're all like, so what happened with Brooks? What's going on with that? And she's like, well, she just yelled at me. We just got into it right now, and she's just doing too much. She's getting way too loud, and I'm just not here for it right now. And then they're like, you know what? Honestly, Sarah, you need to have a conversation with Brooks because now everybody else is getting involved in this whole situation, and they're all getting sucked into it. So you need to have a conversation with her. So then, speaking of her, Brooks, she comes over, and I'm not sure if she's drunk because Lisa, she alluded to her being drunk, but I'm not sure because I'm not sure if this is just naturally how she is. But she shows up and she's like, hey everybody, how are you? And then she gets up and she hugs Sarah. Sarah's hugging her really tightly in her confessional. Brooks is just like, oh, this is so fake. This is just completely fake. Like, this is so fake. Like, she's hugging me, but she just sent out that text message. This is just so fake. And I'm like, well, if it was fake, why did you hug her back? You should have just pulled the Nene Leakes and would have been like, and just frozen in place. Like, don't touch me. But no, you hugged her back. So then they're whispering to each other and they're like, we're going to talk soon. We're going to talk. We're going to fight too, but we're also going to talk. So they sit down. Brooks, she's sitting down next to Lisa and she's like, can I get a drink? Can I get a drink? I need a drink. So then they bring her a drink and she's spilling it all over it and shit. And I'm like, damn, Brooks, you must be drunk or something. What's going on here? So eventually, Sarah and her, they're like, okay, maybe we should have a conversation privately. So then this is where it gets heated. And in this corner, we have Caroline Brooks. And then in this corner, we have Sarah. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but we have Sarah. So then they're over here, they're sitting down and I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. Brooks starts it off by telling Sarah, so Sarah, you know that comment that you made at the dinner when you said, oh, I should be more affectionate to my child? I didn't like that. Like, who are you to tell me that? I just didn't like that you were criticizing my mothering skills. So Sarah and those flashbacks were kicking Caroline Brooks' ass because every time she said something, the flashbacks contradicted herself. Because I mean, yeah, she kind of says something about your mothering skills, but she didn't necessarily say those exact words. She said something else. And then in the flashback, Sarah said, I just feel like you should be closer to him or you should talk to him a little bit more. She never said that you should be more affectionate, although I kind of thought that that's what she said too. See, this is what happens when you're delusional. It is such a bad thing because, you know, you take one thing in one ear and then you mix it up and then it comes out the other ear like something completely different. So then Sarah's just like, I never said that. I never said that. This is what I meant to say. I said that you should talk to him more. I never said anything about that. You said that your mom treated you like a military mom or whatever, and she was very strict, and that's what you said that you were doing with your son. And I just said that you should break that cycle. So then Brooks, she was just like, what cycle though? You're talking about my culture. Like, what are you talking about? Because that's what you were alluding to, right? So Sarah's just like, no, that's not what I was alluding to. I said cycle. I never said anything about culture. And yeah, she never said anything about culture. That was all in Brooke's head. And in my head too, because that's what I also thought she said. I am sorry, y'all. I am like 95% delusional at times. So, you know, when she was saying that, I'm like, wait, you didn't say that? Wait, so she did say that. Oh, but you didn't say that. Like, it was like playing ping pong here. So then Brooks, she's getting more and more upset the more Sarah continues shutting her down, because obviously Sarah's making her look dumb because she keeps telling her, well, no, I never said that. This is what I said. I never said that. This is what I said. And Caroline Brooks, she is fighting for her life. She's like, no, are you sure you didn't say this at least? I'm like, no, Brooks, is all in your head. Like, I get where Brooks is coming from, but Sarah, she's making good points here as well. And Brooks, she's getting more louder and louder and louder. And Sarah's just like, you need to calm it down. You need to calm it down. What are you going to do about it? I dare you to do something. And I'm like, wait a minute. Not Miss Holier Than Thou. Not Miss, you should be like me. What? She said you should do something. What are you going to do about it? I'm like, wait a minute. Those are fighting words. So then Brooks, obviously, she's not going to back down. Her and her eyeballs were so caught off guard. And she's like, what am I going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And I'm like, okay, here we go with the hands again. The hands were in each other's faces and they're getting closer and closer to each other. And I'm actually surprised at Sarah because I honestly, you know, sadly, I thought Sarah was going to be a punk and she was just going to be like in the background somewhere on this show. But no, she obviously came to fight. And she is not backing down from Brooks. And she's just like, well, I dare you, you know, to just break this cycle. I dare you to, you know, bring out the real you, Caroline Brooks, because I'm not sure what's going on here. So then Brooks, she didn't like that. She's like, well, Sarah, I dare you to bring out the best in you. I dare you to bring out the real Sarah because I don't know what this is. And she keeps waving her hands in her face. And if you watch closely, her hands touch her hair. And I'm like, okay. You know, at this point, I really expected both of them to get physical, but I'm like, this is Dubai, and I really don't want neither one of them to go to jail like that over some petty fight or whatever, but both of you were being very, very, very intense to each other's faces, and they were both yelling at each other, and I'm like, what? And then I believe the producer was just like, hey... Hey, can we calm it down? Hey, because again, they were just really going at it with each other. But Sarah, I mean, when she said, what are you going to do about it? I was like, yikes. So then they continue shouting. The producer had to stop and was like, hey. So then Sarah, she kind of broke the fourth wall and she was like, what is this? What is this? This is bullshit. So then Brooks was just like, this is bullshit. What the fuck? And that was that. And it was to be continued. And I'm assuming that the producer, from what I'm seeing, she had to, or they had to step in because in Dubai, you can't fight like this in public. They said it a couple of episodes ago, I believe, right? Or something like that you can't fight or shout or curse in public. And if you do, you go to jail. So obviously the producer was trying to, like, you know, de-escalate the situation because they were getting very, very intense with each other. And honestly, if I was Brooks or Sarah, I would have been like, no, we're finishing this argument. Let's go in the car. It was getting crazy. I was like, if the producer hadn't stepped in, I really do think that both of them would have probably came to blows because it was that intense. But who knows how it turns out next week? I mean, oh, speaking of, I didn't even mention anything about Caroline Strawberry's wedding. I mean, her engagement party. Damn, Caroline, how are we at your event? Yeah, your event is like kind of like in the background. Like it's just kind of like, she's getting married. Anyway, let's focus on Brooks and Sarah. Yes, Strawberry, she had fun. She enjoyed her, you know, engagement party. It was cute, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Strawberry, what you need to do is you need to be invested in the drama too. Like what's going on? If you had a perfect opportunity with Ayan, you should have showed up and like spilled a drink on her and then escalated a fight or something then. But no, you're over there with what's his name? With I'm about to say Sebastian. What's his name? Sergio, that's his name. You know, you're over there with him in the background and you're letting everybody else on the show overshadow you, but that's that. But let me know what you thought about this whole entire episode and whose team are you on? Are you team Caroline Brooks? Or are you team Sarah? Or are you team Caroline Strawberry? Let me know what you thought about this entire episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.